She asked for one night with her ex to close that chapter. He smiled, agreed, and planned a revenge so sharp it would unravel her world. When trust shatters, how far would you go to reclaim your life? Drop your thoughts below. The Miami sun burned low, casting a golden haze over the beachfront villa where Jake and Sophia mingled among clinking glasses and laughter. A friend's 10th anniversary party buzzed with energy. Couples danced to salsa beats, toasts celebrated enduring love, and the ocean whispered beyond the open terrace. Jake, 32, leaned against a railing, his hand brushing Sophia's as they watched their friends, Diego and Elena, share a playful kiss under string lights. 2 years into their own marriage, Jake felt a quiet pride. Their bond, built on late-night taco runs, her goofy dance moves, and shared dreams of a future, seemed unbreakable. Tonight, he'd solidify it. In his pocket, 2 plane tickets waited, crisp and promising. A second honeymoon to the Bahamas, planned in secret to mark their anniversary. He'd booked everything: seaside dinners, a private boat tour. Picturing Sophia's eyes lighting up, just like when he'd surprised her with weekend getaways or her favorite coffee delivered to her office. As the party wound down, he squeezed her hand. "Let's head home," he murmured, anticipation curling in his chest. Sophia, 30, nodded, her fingers slipping from his as she grabbed her purse. The drive back to their condo was quiet, the city's neon pulse flickering past. Jake stole glances at her, expecting a smile, but her gaze stayed fixed on the window, distant. Inside their high-rise, the hum of Miami's nightlife filtered through the glass. Jake poured 2 glasses of red wine, setting one before Sophia as she sank onto the couch, kicking off her sandals. He placed a slim envelope on the coffee table, his heart picking up speed. "Open it," he said, voice light but eager. Sophia's brow arched as she tore the paper, pulling out the tickets. Her eyes scanned the print. Bahamas, 2 weeks from now. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Jake leaned closer, unable to hold back his grin. "A second honeymoon," he said. "Just us. No work, no distractions. I wanted to remind us what we've got." He waited for her laugh, her arms around his neck, the spark that always followed his surprises. Instead, Sophia's fingers tightened on the tickets, her knuckles paling. She set them down, slow, deliberate. "Jake, this is incredible," she started, her voice catching. "But I can't go. Not yet." His grin faltered. "What do you mean?" he asked, keeping his tone steady. Sophia took a breath, her eyes meeting his for the first time all night. "Ryan's coming to town in 2 weeks," she said, each word landing like a stone. "My ex. I need one night with him to close that chapter. Then I'll be all in, and the Bahamas will mean everything." The air stilled. Jake's pulse thudded in his ears, but his face stayed calm, a skill honed from years in cybersecurity. Never show your hand. Ryan. The name wasn't new. Sophia had mentioned him once, a fleeting reference to a college boyfriend, long over. Or so Jake thought. "One night?" He echoed, his voice neutral. Sophia nodded, her gaze pleading for understanding. "Just one. To let go of the past. After that, I'm yours, fully." She reached for his hand, but he didn't move. The wine sat untouched between them. Jake lifted his glass, swirling it once before sipping. "Close what you need to," he said, lips curving into a thin smile. Sophia exhaled, relief washing over her. She clinked her glass against his, believing she'd secured his trust. But Jake's mind was already racing, mapping out a different plan. Her words weren't a request. They were a betrayal, cold and calculated. He wouldn't beg or argue. He'd act. As Sophia sipped her wine, oblivious, Jake's thoughts sharpened. She'd asked for a night. He'd give her a deadline. 2 weeks. And when she returned, she'd find nothing left to come back to. The morning after Sophia's bombshell, Miami hummed with its usual chaos. Honking cars, distant waves, the pulse of a city that never slept. Jake stood at the kitchen counter, coffee cooling in his mug, untouched. Sophia breezed past, planting a quick kiss on his cheek before heading to her marketing job, her heels clicking down the hall. She acted as if last night's conversation was a minor hiccup, her voice light as she called out, "See you tonight." The door shut, and Jake's jaw tightened. The countdown had begun. He moved to his home office, the only sound the faint hum of his computer booting up. As a cybersecurity consultant, Jake thrived on precision, his work built on finding weaknesses before they could be exploited. Now he'd apply that skill to his own life. He opened a secure drive, fingers steady on the keyboard, and accessed the smart cameras embedded in their condo. Installed for peace of mind, they'd recorded every word from last night. He clicked a file timestamped 2247. Sophia's voice filled the room, clear and unapologetic. Ryan's coming to town in 2 weeks. I need one night with him to close that chapter. He played it again, letting the words carve into him. Not suspicion, evidence. Jake burned the audio to a USB drive, locked it in a drawer, and made a call. By 10 a.m., he sat across from Maria Alvarez, a divorce attorney with a reputation for clean, decisive wins. Her office smelled faintly of leather and coffee. Jake slid the USB across her desk. "Play it," he said. Maria listened, her pen pausing mid-tap. "This is admissible," she said, nodding. "It's enough to protect your assets and move fast. I'll draft the papers, but it'll take a few days." Jake's expression didn't shift. "Make it quick," he replied. Step 1 was in motion. Next, he logged into their travel account from his laptop. The Bahamas tickets, booked with such care, stared back at him. He canceled them, redirecting the refund to a private account Sophia couldn't access. No alerts, no traces. By noon, he'd contacted a real estate agent, Carla, who specialized in rapid sales. "I need the condo sold. Cash buyer. Discreet," he told her over a call. Carla didn't ask questions. "I've got a client looking for a downtown spot. I'll list it tomorrow, off-market. You'll have an offer by Friday." Jake thanked her and hung up. The condo, their shared car, their joint accounts. Each was a thread he'd cut, methodically, legally. That evening, Sophia came home to the smell of sizzling empanadas. Jake stood at the stove, sleeves rolled up, playing the part of the devoted husband. "Long day?" he asked, sliding a plate toward her. She smiled, launching into a story about a client pitch, unaware of the calculations behind his eyes. As she talked, Jake nodded, his responses warm but measured, each word a data point in his mental ledger. She mentioned the Bahamas, suggesting snorkeling spots. He agreed, suggesting a private cabana, his voice betraying nothing. After dinner, they watched a movie, her head resting on his shoulder. Jake's arm stayed around her, but his mind was elsewhere, plotting the next move. The following day, he met Carla during his lunch break at a quiet cafe. She slid a tablet across the table, showing a pre-listing for the condo. "Buyers ready to move fast," she said. "Sign here, and I'll handle the rest." Jake scrawled his name, the pen steady. Back at his office, he siphoned small sums from their joint account, amounts too minor to trigger bank alerts, into a new account under his name alone. Each transfer was a brick in the wall he was building. By evening, he'd contacted a car dealer, arranging to sell their shared SUV for cash. "I'll have it gone by the end of the week," the dealer promised. Night after night, Jake maintained the facade. He cooked, laughed, listened as Sophia scrolled through beachwear online, her excitement for the trip growing. "I can't wait for us to just be us again," she said one evening, curling up beside him. Jake kissed her forehead, his smile soft, but his thoughts were in San Diego, where a new life waited. He'd already scouted a rental, a modest studio by the beach, far from Miami's glitter. The lease was signed, digital, untraceable. Every step was a silent severance, each action deliberate, like code written to execute without error. By Thursday, the real estate deal was nearly sealed. Carla texted, "Offers in. Cash, above asking. Close by Saturday." Jake confirmed, his pulse steady. He met Maria again that afternoon, her desk now stacked with documents. "Papers are ready," she said, handing him a folder. "Sign these, and I'll file Monday. She won't see it coming." Jake reviewed each page, his signature sharp and final. He left one instruction: "Deliver them after I'm gone." Maria nodded, understanding the weight of his plan. As the week closed, Jake's preparations were nearly complete. Sophia, oblivious, packed a small bag for her closure, with Ryan humming as she folded a dress. Jake watched from the doorway, his face a mask of calm. "Have fun tomorrow," he said, voice even. She grinned, blowing him a kiss. "I'll be back before you miss me." He smiled back, but inside, he was already gone. The USB in his drawer, the canceled tickets, the sold condo, the drained accounts. They were the foundation of a justice she'd never anticipate. Tomorrow, she'd walk out. And Jake? He'd be on a plane, leaving her to face the consequences alone. Friday dawned sharp and bright in Miami, the city pulsing with its relentless rhythm. Jake woke early, the condo silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioner. Sophia slept beside him, her breathing steady, unaware of the unraveling set to unfold. He slipped out of bed, showered, and dressed in silence, his movements precise. Today was the pivot point. By midnight, he'd be gone, and Sophia's world would shift beneath her. At 8 a.m., Jake sat at his desk, laptop open, finalizing details. He confirmed the condo sale with Carla, the real estate agent, via a secure email. "Buyers are wiring funds today," she wrote. "Keys transferred tomorrow morning." Jake replied with a single word, "Perfect." Next, he logged into the car dealership's portal. The SUV sale was complete, the payment deposited into his private account. He double-checked the balance. Every cent accounted for, untouchable by Sophia. His phone buzzed with a text from his friend Marcus, "Ready for tonight. Just say when." Jake typed back, 10 p.m., "My place." The plan was locked. Mid-morning, he drove to a storage unit on the city's edge, where he'd rented a small space days earlier. Inside, he stowed a single suitcase, his essentials, documents, and laptop. Nothing sentimental, no traces of their shared life. The rest of his belongings waited in his car, ready for the airport. Back at the condo, Sophia was at work, her desk calendar likely marked with her plans for closure with Ryan tonight. Jake's stomach twisted at the thought, but he pushed it down. Emotion wouldn't cloud his execution. By noon, he met Maria, the attorney, at her downtown office. She handed him a sealed envelope containing the divorce papers, signed and notarized. "Everything's filed," she said. "I'll have a courier deliver these to Sophia tomorrow, as instructed." Jake nodded, slipping the envelope into his bag. "One more thing," he said, handing her a second USB drive with a duplicate of Sophia's recorded confession. "Keep this safe, just in case." Maria tucked it into her desk. "You're covered," she assured him. He left without looking back. Afternoon brought a final task. Jake called the bank, confirming the joint account's closure. The remaining funds, small, deliberate transfers he'd siphoned over days, now sat in his new account, flagged for international use. Sophia's credit cards, tied to the joint account, were now useless. He didn't touch her personal savings, only what they'd built together. Fair, legal, final. At 3 p.m., he received a confirmation email, his one-way flight to San Diego, departing at 11:35 p.m., was boarded. A rental studio awaited him there, leased under his name alone, its address already programmed into his GPS. Back at the condo, Sophia returned from work, her energy light, almost giddy. She dropped her bag and hugged Jake, chatting about a new client deal. "Big win today," she said, pouring herself a glass of water. "Makes tonight feel right." Jake forced a smile, stirring a pot of chili on the stove. "Sounds like you're ready," he said, voice casual. She didn't notice the edge in his tone, too caught up in her own plans. Over dinner, she scrolled through her phone, mentioning a beach bar she and Ryan might visit. Jake nodded, spooning chili, his responses brief but warm enough to keep her unsuspecting. Each word she spoke was another nail in the coffin of their life together. As dusk settled, Sophia prepared for her night out. She hummed, rifling through her bag for keys, her movements carefree. Jake watched from the couch, his phone in hand, texting Marcus, "She's leaving soon." At 8 p.m., Sophia emerged, ready to meet Ryan. "Won't be late," she said, leaning in for a quick kiss. Jake met her lips, his expression soft but distant. "Take your time," he replied. The door clicked shut behind her, and the condo fell silent. Jake exhaled, the weight of the moment settling. It was time. Marcus arrived at 10 p.m., his pickup truck idling downstairs. Together, they moved with efficiency. Jake had already sorted Sophia's belongings, clothes, shoes, books, into labeled boxes over the past week, stored discreetly in a closet. They carried them to the condo's entrance, stacking them neatly by the curb. Jake's own bags, minimal and precise, went into Marcus's truck. "You sure about this?" Marcus asked, leaning against the tailgate. Jake nodded. "She made her choice. I'm making mine." They drove to the storage unit, where Jake's suitcase joined the rest. Marcus dropped him at the airport by 10:45 p.m., clapping his shoulder. "Start fresh, man." Jake gave a tight nod and walked into the terminal. At the gate, he checked his phone one last time. No messages from Sophia. Good. He boarded the red-eye flight, settling into a window seat. As the plane climbed, Miami's lights shrank below, a glittering grid he was leaving behind. His mind ticked through the checklist. Condo sold, car gone, accounts drained, divorce papers ready. Sophia would return to a locked door, her life in boxes, her cards declined. He felt no thrill, only clarity. The betrayal had severed something permanent, and he was done waiting for her to choose him. San Diego loomed ahead, a new city, a clean slate. The plane leveled off, and Jake closed his eyes, the hum of the engines carrying him toward freedom. The Miami dawn broke with a pale glow, the city stirring under a thin veil of mist. Sophia stepped out of a taxi at 6 a.m. Her steps light, a faint smile lingering from her night with Ryan. The condo building loomed ahead, its glass facade reflecting the first rays of sun. She approached the entrance, keys in hand, expecting the familiar click of the lock. Instead, she froze. A row of boxes lined the curb, neatly stacked, labeled with her name in Jake's precise handwriting. Her purse, shoes, books, her life, reduced to a sidewalk display. Her breath caught, a sharp pang in her chest. She fumbled with the key, sliding it into the lock. It didn't turn. She tried again, twisting harder, the metal scraping uselessly. "No," she muttered, her voice thin. She punched Jake's number into her phone. Straight to voicemail. Again. Nothing. A third attempt, her fingers trembling now. Silence. She knelt by the boxes, rifling through one. Her favorite novels, a framed photo from their wedding, face down. The realization hit, like a cold wave. Jake hadn't waited. He'd acted. Sophia stood, scanning the street as if he might appear. The city moved on, joggers, delivery vans, the hum of early traffic. She dragged a box to the side, shielding it from passers-by, and opened her banking app. Her heart sank. The joint account showed 0. She tried her credit card, linked to the same account. Declined. Another card, same result. Her personal savings remained, but it was barely enough for a week. Her knees weakened. She sank onto a box, the weight of her choice crushing her. A hotel seemed her only option. She hailed another taxi, piling a few boxes in the trunk, leaving the rest with a reluctant doorman who promised to watch them. At a nearby Marriott, she handed over her card at check-in. Declined. The clerk said, her tone polite but firm. Sophia offered another. Same result. Her face burned as she pulled out her personal debit card, barely covering one night. The clerk handed her a key card, and Sophia retreated to a lobby chair, her phone clutched like a lifeline. She dialed Jake again. Voicemail. Her texts went unanswered, blue ticks mocking her. Mid-morning, a courier approached, a manila envelope in hand. "Sofia Delgado?" he asked. She nodded, taking the package with shaking hands. Inside, divorce papers from Maria Alvarez's office, Jake's signature stark at the bottom. A single sheet slipped out, his handwriting unmistakable. "You wanted closure. Here it is." Sophia's vision blurred. She pressed a hand to her mouth, stifling a sob. The lobby spun, people checking in, a barista calling orders, life continuing while hers unraveled. She forced herself to move, taking a taxi back to the condo to retrieve the remaining boxes. The doorman, apologetic, helped load them into a storage facility she found online, draining half her remaining funds. By noon, she sat in a coffee shop, staring at her phone. No messages from Jake. She called Ryan, hoping for support, but his phone rang out. A quick check of his social media showed a new post, a beach selfie, alone, caption "New day, new vibe." Her stomach twisted. Even Ryan had moved on. Desperate, Sophia contacted her friend Elena, the anniversary party host. "Can I crash with you?" she asked, voice cracking. Elena hesitated, then agreed. "Just for a few days, okay?" Sophia nodded, though Elena couldn't see. She arrived at Elena's apartment, a small guest room her only refuge. Unpacking a single box, she found a notebook where she and Jake had once jotted travel plans: Bahamas, Italy, Japan. She slammed it shut, tears spilling. The life she'd taken for granted was gone, dismantled in days. By evening, Sophia sat on Elena's couch, scrolling through her phone for answers. She found none. Jake's social media was blank, his number disconnected. A search for their condo online revealed it was sold, the listing marked "closed" that morning. The car, gone too. She'd seen the empty parking spot. Every trace of their shared life had vanished, surgically removed. She opened the divorce papers again, the legal terms blurring into a single truth. Jake had outplayed her, leaving her with nothing but consequences. As night fell, Sophia lay awake, the guest room's silence deafening. She'd wanted one night to feel free, to tie up loose ends. Instead, Jake had severed every tie, leaving her to face the fallout alone. Tomorrow, she'd meet Maria Alvarez to confirm the divorce terms, but she already knew the outcome. Jake's plan was airtight, his exit absolute. She'd underestimated him, believing he'd bend to her whim. Now, her world was boxes on a curb, a declined card, and a signature that ended it all. San Diego's morning sun spilled over the Pacific, its light glinting off the waves as Jake stepped onto the balcony of his new studio. The air carried salt and promise, a stark contrast to Miami's frenetic pulse. He sipped black coffee, his phone silent. No trace of Sophia's calls, blocked and buried. At 32, he'd rebuilt his life in hours, landing in a city where no one knew his past. The lease, signed digitally, secured a modest space with a view of the horizon. His laptop, now free of shared accounts, hummed with new projects. Freedom wasn't loud. It was this quiet moment, his choices his own again. Back in Miami, Sophia woke in Elena's guest room, the weight of yesterday clinging like damp air. She'd barely slept, her phone still empty of Jake's replies. At 9 a.m., she took a rideshare to Maria Alvarez's office, the divorce papers creased in her bag. The meeting was brief, clinical. Maria laid out the terms. No alimony, no shared assets. The marriage dissolved cleanly. He's protected himself, Maria said, her tone neutral. The recording of your request sealed it. Sophia nodded, numb, signing where indicated. The pen felt heavy, each stroke a surrender. She left with a copy of the agreement, her signature beside Jake's, finalizing the end. Outside, Miami buzzed, tourists snapping photos, street vendors calling out. Sophia walked aimlessly, the papers tucked under her arm. Her remaining funds, barely enough for a month, forced a reckoning. She called her boss, requesting remote work to avoid the office's pitying glances. Take a week, he said. But we need you back in person. She agreed, knowing she'd need a new place soon. Elena's hospitality had a limit, and Sophia's pride, bruised but intact, pushed her to plan. She opened a job board on her phone, filtering for higher-paying roles. Survival demanded action, not regret. By noon, she sat at a park bench, drafting a budget. Her personal savings, untouched by Jake, offered a thin lifeline. She listed her boxes in storage for sale, books, decor, anything to pad her funds. A text from Elena popped up, found a studio nearby. Cheap. Interested? Sophia replied, yes, please. A small victory, but enough to anchor her. She wouldn't call Ryan again. His silence had clarified his role, a fleeting distraction, not a savior. Her focus shifted to rebuilding, one step at a time. Meanwhile, Jake spent his first San Diego day in motion. He met a potential client, a tech startup needing cybersecurity audits. His pitch was sharp, his confidence unshaken by the past week. The contract, signed on the spot, secured his income. At a beachside cafe, he opened his laptop, updating his portfolio to reflect his new city. A notification pinged, an email from Carla, the real estate agent, confirming the condo's funds were in his account. He transferred them to a savings plan, his future no longer tethered to Miami's ghosts. A jog along the shore cleared his mind, each step a declaration of independence. Sophia, back at Elena's, packed her few essentials. The studio Elena found was bare but affordable, a starting point. She moved in that evening, signing a month-to-month lease with her dwindling funds. Unpacking a single box, she found a photo of her and Jake at a food truck festival, laughing over tacos. She set it aside, not ready to discard it, but unwilling to linger. Her phone buzzed. A job interview scheduled for tomorrow, a marketing firm with a better salary. Hope flickered, fragile but real. She'd betrayed Jake, but she wouldn't betray herself now. Jake, settling into his routine, felt no urge to gloat. His actions, selling the condo, draining shared accounts, filing for divorce, were justice, not vengeance. Sophia's request for one night had broken a vow, and he'd responded with precision, protecting what was his. He opened a news app, scanning headlines, then closed it. Miami, Sophia, Ryan, they were chapters closed. His new life was here, in the rhythm of waves and the hum of opportunity. The story's end posed a question to YouTube viewers. If your partner asked for one night with their past, would you fight to hold on or walk away clean like Jake? Comments flooded in, some praising his resolve, others debating Sophia's punishment. The call to action urged likes, subscribes, and shares for more real-life-inspired tales. Sophia, starting over, faced her consequences, not ruin, but a hard reset. Jake, free in San Diego, built a future untainted by betrayal. Justice, delivered quietly, left them both to carry on, separate and changed.